Hey, 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 how's everyone? Thank you for being here. Another episode. I think we're on like the 37 episode or something like that already. But I'm so happy here because we have Joe and Andrew. They both have something in common. That's why we brought them here. They're
New things, right?
coffee lovers.
Yeah.
And they know each other for a long time, right? Well, tell me a little bit, Joe, how do you met Andrew? Or that you know Andrew?
Back when I lived in Wisconsin, I
Yeah.
worked at Epic, even a healthcare software company, and then went to Click, and I started traveling to Florida and met Andrew through the health system he worked at down here, and
Awesome.
just stayed connected. And we did a hackathon in DC, late night stuff. I
Mhm.
forgot about that until you reminded me of that a while back. I think I like erased that from my memory, but
Wow.
24 hours in what building was it? We were
Health and Human Services.
Yeah, HHS, and just like on hardwood tile or hard tile floors with like folding tables.
Folding tables. Yeah.
Oh, you guys must be hungry. Let's like order in pizza for
Yeah.
hundreds of people that are trying to do a hackathon. It was
That's
great.
awesome.
That pizza came so late. That was like
Yeah.
maybe 3 hours after. And they were like, whew, you guys need extension cords too, right? Or,
Yeah.
I know laptop power is pretty good whenever you're running a few million records, right?
Right. Yeah. They were
Yeah,
not
this is
prepared for
awesome.
us, but they're like,
Yeah.
it was so good. We should do this again. Like, well,
But
here's all the things you need to have ready.
I do remember staying on topic here that they did have some coffee there for us. So they were like, hey, we know what really makes the world go round, right?
That's
So
true. That's true. That's why we're here today. So we're here today. We have data visualization related to coffee. I have here some of my, coffee cups. I told everyone I was gonna bring some nice coffee cups. Look at the Boa Fett coffee cup right here. And we all brew some coffee. And just tell me, what is your favorite coffee, Joe? What do you usually drink like most days? What's your favorite one?
I try to order from this roaster in Madison where I used to live for like 10, 12 years. And I'll get coffee ordered to us in Florida now from them. And so I'm grinding the beans every day. They have a couple different varieties. They always have a funny logo or like a saying on it. It's called Just Coffee. And just grind that up. And so every morning, just try to make a fresh cup of coffee or an espresso. And nothing too extraordinary. If I'm out, it's usually a latte though that I'm trying to get.
Yeah, that's what I do. Latte to me too.
Yeah.
What about you, Andrew? What is your favorite? Which one is the one that you usually
man.
almost every day, the most common?
Yeah, so the type of coffee bean is actually from New Mexico. It's a piñon coffee. So it's like a real mellow pine nut coffee, and it's like, that sounds a little weird, right? But what I like about it is it has a very light, earthy flavor to it. And then it blends really well with everything. So what I started doing like the last probably 2-3 months is a dirty chai.
Yeah.
So I do a dirty chai at home. No, that doesn't mean it has Bailey's or anything in it. It's literally just chai tea with a little bit of the coffee or espresso in it.
Great.
So it's amazing.
That sounds great. I usually drink lattes or espressos, Cuban coffee or Colombian, or especially from my parents' town in Puerto Rico. They send me the coffee.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
really good coffee in Puerto Rico, but they don't export the coffee, because they don't have that much coffee that they can make. But it's really good coffee.
Yeah, that's why they end up doing a little cortado, right, with a quesito.
Like little this right here. It's like
Exactly.
that.
I brought my little espresso cup as well. I'm not going to dare drink the rest of it. It's too late in the day for me.
Exactly.
I was like, I'll go make one.
Yeah. That's great. So we have some nice, cool visualizations. Let me tell you, when we're talking before the show, there's so many out there. I mean, this is a great data for, learn, visualize. It doesn't matter what tool you're using. Use this data. It's really good. It's easy to find. It's easy to find examples out there for data related to coffee. So Joe, show me some of the ones that Joe has so many, and he's going to show us some great ones that he has today.
Yeah. I like to troll the not in a bad way, but check out all of the stuff on the Data is Beautiful subreddit. Usually have good stuff, and you just type in coffee and you're going to get pages after pages.
Exactly.
So I grabbed some of the ones that weren't just really bad visualization stuff. That's very easy to see that. And I grabbed a couple. I like the data science one. So anything like Statista is going to be fun. And so there's the article behind it. So what plant milk is the most sustainable? And I remember hearing about this, and then I worry about it because I don't know about you guys, but the thing that I add the most is almond milk. And I heard how bad it can be on the environment, but it's good that it's better than cow's milk. At least I'm feeling a little bit better. And I don't know, do you have a preferred milk if you're going to do like a latte or something?
Oats.
Oats?
Switch to oat, yeah.
It's creamy, right?
It's very creamy. I actually have, you'll like this, Joe, if you've never checked it out. It's called an almond cow. So literally I actually make my own milk. So what you do is you can do the almonds, you can do rice. I've never tried soy, but cashew, like my mom, she did walnut milk the other day. So like literally you can milk almost anything, but all you do is you kind of soak the nuts and then go from there. And I mean, as we kind of talk about this, there's all kinds of environmental factors. Like when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about the bees with all the almonds. Like 80% of our almond production in the world is actually in California.
Right.
And literally even here in Florida, they ship bees all the way to California. That way they can pollinate all the almond trees. And then they bring them back here. Yeah, it's crazy. So you've got all these factors, which I think are incredible, and people understanding these. I wish there were just monetary incentives. Like instead, I'm paying an extra $1 for the oat milk.
That's right.
You're probably paying that for
one of the most expensive ones, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And this is easy to come by pretty much anywhere now.
Yeah, exactly.
5 years ago, I don't know, you weren't seeing much of it. Now there's every major brand has like an almond nut milk or something weird. But oat's good. My wife just can't stand it, so that's why we don't get oat milk. There's something to it that she doesn't like.
Hey, the oat creamer is a little different. I think you've got to go through a few. I'll have to pull up. Now I'm going to forget what the brand is that we use. It's not Oatly. It's another one. We found an even better one. And yeah, James, that's spot on. It's not milk unless it comes from an animal.
There's a law in Wisconsin going in for that as well, that like you pan, because dairy milk, right, in Wisconsin is huge. So to call it a milk, it's like that comes up. People are voting on that stuff.
Yeah. So this cool. James says that you cannot call product milk unless it comes from an animal. So no, that's awesome. Do you know what other one I've tried a couple times? I don't know if you guys think of this could work. Coconut milk. So I've tried coconut milk before, and it could work in some cases, right? Depends on what you're doing, but
I was actually surprised it's not on here, right? Like, it's not off the charts. I can't imagine the things just grow like crazy, but maybe it's competing with coconut water or something like that.
Yeah.
So something that is important here, right? Like going through making it is actually the fat content. And I think that's part of what makes coffee, right? So I don't know if you remember, let's say this back in the day, this will date me a little bit, the bullet coffee, right? With some butter in there. And I think it's just because we had went the opposite direction. We were like, oh, low fat, skim, all these things, right? And then you have to like reintroduce the fat content back in there, because that's part of what helps the flavor profile. And I think when we're talking about the flavor profile here, we want to make sure that you have a nice, big, juicy flavor profile. So make sure you're using #coffee on today's session.
That's right.
If you want to be entered to win a free tumbler here from Data Meaning.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to say thank Data Meaning for allowing us to do this show. As Aaron said, they're a 36th show right now. Thanks for Data Meaning for allowing us again. And like he said, I mean, just #coffee, and we're gonna have that at the end, a giveaway. So yeah, so I'm looking at this visualization. What do you think about those circles? How they, I mean, I think it's clever, right? Like how they make those circles, like the larger the circle, then it means the higher the emissions, right? So
yeah, I don't usually think to put this like that on a combined chart. It's more of an infographic, right? And so I'm like, oh, there's two measures. That would be a scatter chart. But that can be hard to decipher. So it actually makes it pretty compact. You can look at it in either forms. The colors are consistent. I picked up a lot from you guys over these episodes.
Yeah.
Like, got a good title. You can tell what's going on. I'm like,
I like the title.
this one.
I like the title.
Yeah.
I like the title. It's simple but easy to understand. It had the source. Right. So yeah, it works.
Yeah. Joe, when I'm looking at this, I mean, something that I always try and understand from a clarity perspective is like the CO2 emissions, right? So that's becoming important from a geography perspective because you've got like Russia, right? They're one of the main producers of grains in the world, right? So how are they getting that information related to CO2 emissions, right? Is that to actually grow the crop, or are they also factoring in transportation to you, right? So like local or imports.
Yeah, this is, and I saw a couple of those digging in where you could go down the rabbit hole into the production of coffee and what it takes to get that, drop into your cup. And it's a significant supply chain, lots of travel, lots of CO2. And so that making your own milk at home, or plant-based milk rather, it's really interesting. I haven't explored that yet. My wife will say, no more coffee gadgets. I have one here that she got me because I will. It's pretty cool. I use it to make this little espresso cup just earlier. You put your beans in the top, you've ground them up, and then you expand this thing. You kind of pump it and turn it over and pump from hot water through it. You make a little thing. Because I would used to take, if we go on any extended trip, I have to have a pretty good space to bring my espresso machine.
Well, that's great idea.
1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot box, and it's about like 15 pounds. It's not light, but it's like I don't. What if they don't have good coffee where we're going? I know I can make what I want, so I'll just bring it with me. I'm like, we're saving money this way, and she's like, it's a lot to lug around. So that's what she got me for that a while back.
I wish they had a smaller one, but the guys who work with me know I do celery juice every morning. So I literally will lug a juicer around when we travel. I'm pretty good with the Marie Kondo style packing things in for the suitcase, but then I just reflood that room with the juicer in there. You should see the looks at the airport. They're like, sir, what is this exactly that you're trying to take on the plane?
Wow.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It's great.
There is someone saying here from LinkedIn, a user saying that this chart could be hard to understand by Americans because of liters and kilograms. I mean, that's a very good point. I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
Yeah. Yes, it doesn't have an axis, but they put the values there. And I worried at first, like, oh, are they making it look any bigger? Because sometimes you can hide where the zero axis is, but it looks like it matches up. 28, being almost half of the next one, and then a quarter more of the next. So again, they didn't try to trick you with this at all, like you can sometimes see.
I think so. You have any other? Do you want to
show? I had one, and I know you guys have shown like big, tall infographics.
Of course.
And so the one that I wanted to focus on from here, I just thought was interesting, and I don't really know how to decipher this one off the bat. It took me a while to look through it. So the most eco-friendly brew method, and Andrew, I'm sure you've tried a bunch of these different things too.
French. I like this.
I like what the temperature gauge is, right?
The data. I like the data.
Yeah, I like this.
I like the data. It's interesting.
Oh man! So now I feel bad, Joe, because we do use reusable pods. We got the metal one with the paper, but we dispose of them in the yard to help with the plants.
Like compost, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love the cold brew just from an energy perspective. It's really nice. We do have you ever had a cold brew cola?
Cold brew cola?
Never.
Yes. This is next level, man. So basically what you do is my wife, she loves sodas, and we had gotten a while ago one of the CO2 machines, right? So she did one of those, and what we figured out is you can do the carbonation there, you can get the cola syrup, right? And you actually mix that with some of the cold brew, and then it almost tastes exactly like Coke. It
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you got the caffeine in there, right? You can lower the sugar. You can play with the sugar a little bit, but it's a nice cold afternoon pick-me-up that ironically doesn't have any milk in it, right? So you like totally change the game up. So it's really fun. Yeah.
That's been my go-to thing around here when it gets Yamil before is like it gets hot here. I love hot coffee, but if I'm out, it's a cold brew with some ice in it, and it's just refreshing.
Nice. Yeah, it's great for the afternoon, right? It's like it's relaxing. You're like chilling by the pool, but you're like, I got to get ready for this evening, right? To go out on a Friday night or something.
Yeah, the comparison is unitless.
That's true.
Yeah. So he says, as long as the units are the same, comparison is unitless. Does anyone really understand the size of any unit of CO2? This is from James. Thank you, James. I'm not sure. I mean, honestly, I do like that, they are saying, okay, so cold brew, and I like the annotations underneath, right? So you can see very low energy and long product life.
So
yeah, go ahead.
You know who's actually doing a good job of this from a CO2 output perspective is actually airlines. So this will sound kind of interesting, but I don't know if you've seen their programs lately. I saw, I think, on Southwest's website, right? They basically said they're solving that exact problem. How do you understand, right, what your trip really means? Like, how many trees is that, right? How much tree does a tree offset in terms of carbon? Because we all understand trees, right? And like, oh, it lives for 20 years. It'll kind of absorb that much carbon into the earth. Okay, so Joe, if you're gonna go up north, right, and pick up your coffee, like I did this actually with New Mexico, right? We literally went there and I flew Southwest and I came back with 50 pounds of coffee, right?
Wow.
So then it's like, okay, well, how do
agriculture like limit? Like the carbon won't let you bring more than
just
that?
The luggage. Just one.
That's the luggage limit. Yeah, you thought I was compacting all my suitcase and stuff for to be eco. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to bring that back myself so I can be a little greedy there, but then at least now I know what that carbon footprint is, right? And I think when we talk about that, that's kind of the catch, is always providing it in tangible terms so people can understand, right? Otherwise we're never going to do that. So if you were talking about this, it's okay, how many coffee trees would I need to plant to kind of offset my use of disposable pods, right?
Well, I got a good one because that leads in. I'm glad that question came in too. I can't remember which tab it is, but I found
show us
another one. I mean, here's a coffee pod one. We don't have to spend much on it. I love when people make, physical data visualizations.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So there's this order in my world then when I see this stuff. I'm like, okay, I will get along with this person.
So there is a really cool one, Joe. I'll send it to you. I don't have it. I don't know if Aaron can find it, but I can put it in the chat. But there is one from Chris Tolver where he told his kids on Halloween to put the same thing, but imagine it's with candy.
Yeah, with the candy.
And he could see which they have of much candy. So they were like bar charts, like here with candy. And then when days after, he said, "Okay, look, this is how much they have now. They can't, the graph. You could see that it changed and how much candy they ate.
Right.
I mean, it was amazing. It was super cool. So
and this one was titled like, how many cups of coffee I've had starting at the pandemic. And this was like March 23rd of 2020, right at the beginning. And they're like, is it getting better? Is it getting worse?
I think part of it is even just acknowledging that, right? Like, I think one of the things when I look at this, I want to see the day of the week, because I'm like, hey, what's the one coffee days there, right? Like, is there something different going on? I just had on YouTube, they had a commercial pop up for those mud drinks. Have you seen those?
No.
Mud drinks, yeah. You're like, oh, gross. Yeah. Basically, it's like chaga and all that other stuff in terms of like mushrooms and things, kind of blending that all together.
Oh,
And
right.
it has like some cacao in it. So it's still got the, what is that? The mouth taste, right? We were talking about this, or it's the mouth texture, right? Like what does it feel like in your mouth? There's actually a scale for that. I think it has that same consistency. The flavor is just a little different, but it's more about keeping you mellow and even keel and focused, as opposed to like the rise up and crash like you kind of have with coffee.
Yeah, I was looking for some charts related to that. I don't know if Aaron or Yamil, if you find any either, that was like your energy levels. I'm super interested in, like measuring that on my own. And I've never really done that. Sit down. I mean, have like my watch that kind of tracks if I'm standing up or not. But how's my actual energy level is the way to track that stuff in a better way.
Yeah.
But the coffee pod one was fun. But the other one I really like is this is the size of a coffee pod.
Okay.
And this is 18 billion single serve coffee pods that Green Mountain Coffee, one of the larger, companies that makes these things, sold in just a single year. And this is basically what it would be for a landfill. It's the size of a, multi-block building in New York.
This is really good. I like the scale.
To zoom in and off, that's better.
So, something that I've really been paying attention to lately is
very nice.
How much of the plastic that we use, especially when it's single use, is it recyclable? And like that's something that bothers me, right? If we know that it's going to be single use, how come we can't figure out more creative ways to have that be recyclable? Like we kind of did that with this first pass with a craze around the straws, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at what the composition is of a landfill, right? There's actually less straws than possibly even coffee pods here. But I look at that and say, hey, straws are kind of the easiest example for us to create, right? Because it's such a simple structure, but we know it has to stand up to a lot. And I think that's the challenge that we should be questioning where we're buying things from. Hey, are they thinking about those things, and are they being environmentally conscious in that way? Because we already know we're shipping it around the world. Now the question is, what are we doing with it after, right? So it's exciting.
You literally climb a green mountain. Is that what's that?
Exactly. Yeah. They probably made a mountain, right?
It's kind of sad, right? You don't think about it.
Green mountain made of used pots. Look at that. That's funny.
My team member Jane, I don't know if she's on right now, but she worked at Click for a while before she joined us, and she's on the CSR team, corporate social responsibility. And at one point, her and the leader, I'm pretty sure it was her, went to the different offices and basically removed the Keurig machines, the single cup stuff, and put in regular coffee machines and espresso machines, because they were sick of the trash cans would just get full with these one-use filter things, and they ended up swapping it out for a company that has, I don't even know how many offices they have, maybe like 30 offices globally. Every office had a couple of those machines. And so they were like, we're going to make an impact. Let's start at each office. And I'm like, that's smart. And so, we haven't used ours. We have those reusable ones when we need it. But it's interesting. Like, what can you actually do with these? I don't know if there's much. I feel like I thought I saw somebody doing like planting seedlings. And each one having like a carton full of them, like you might do in an egg carton too, but I think they just get tossed.
Yeah. I think the crazy part is that says 18 billion with a B, right? Like billion. That's like, wow. I mean, it's very impressive. Like
and that was, 8, what are we at now? 8 years ago. I think these things are so much more common now. It's just easy to do it.
And this is just one brand. One company.
One brand, yeah. Sad.
Incredible. You have any other, or you want us, or if not, I mean, I can show you.
Yeah, if you have some. I had one other one. It's I would like your guys' feedback on it.
Yeah.
And that it's pretty basic, but it was the other coffee one. So I used our software to kind of build this one a while back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I want to try to build an infographic like thing.
Nice.
And so I grabbed what I thought were, 10 or so, not counting the bubbles, right, of the largest coffee chains in America.
Okay.
And then pick some of the states where our employees are from that I work with.
Oh.
And try to arrange this in such a way that you could maybe compare between states. Like, is Starbucks bigger in Maryland than it is in North Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
That one was actually pretty flat from the data I found, but it was interesting for like maybe Tim Hortons, which is popular near more like the northern states near Canada and stuff. And so it was like, can you see if Tim Hortons is big in North Carolina? Not so much, but it's huge in Michigan. Like, we grew up, we had Tim Hortons all around us when I lived there. So I try to have some fun with this, but I built it as probably as quick as I could go, and I don't know what else to do with it or if it's too confusing.
Oh. What do you think? And Andrew, you're muted. Wait.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that I call out here. The title, I think the colors, I'm really like hyper focused on the states, which is good, but I think it'd be important to draw more attention to the title so we understand what we're looking for.
These
and
out
then
here, right?
Yeah, those as well. I mean, I think maybe if I were to make this viz a little bigger, I'd almost want like some fun facts related to Tim Hortons underneath it, right? So it could be like a little wiki, just because that could literally point to, well, it started in Michigan, right? Of course that makes sense. Or like the one that I'm actually curious about is like what rules in Florida. Like I almost feel like it's going to be a Dunkin' Donuts or, I mean,
I think Dunkin' was definitely in there. Panera's everywhere because it's just like it's Panera, but Dunkin' is big. And I've definitely seen a lot in Pennsylvania, and I think it's also like it's going to be at a lot of places. If I had more data on it, I feel like we could do a nice map, right? Of you could see the West Coast coffee chains like, you know, Seattle and California have Starbucks and crazy amounts, and Dunkin' more on the East Coast, just like dominating, right?
Yeah.
And I'd seen a lot of those, and this was just like maybe just for our like employees and the states they're in.
So the thing that I love about this visual is the fact that you use the little coffee stains.
Yeah.
That's like,
I think that's just probably how I decided I was going to build this. I just saw that and I'm like, well, I can make some more of those on a page and then try to arrange something.
Yeah.
Just have some fun with it.
What about you, Yamil? Do you like the kind of like the small multiples here? You think that's
can
fun?
see that the Floridas, you know, have more bubble. They're larger for sure. Really quick. The font is a little smaller than the Maryland one, right? You cannot see the font too quick. But I have something for you to show you, something really funny that I have in one of my visualizations that show you what you guys were talking about. If it was Starbucks or Dunkin', I think I have the solution for you.
Okay.
This is very cool.
Yeah, that's happy to point this out. Maybe I'll get another version for you guys later and we can kind of rip it apart. I love that. And I'm like, well, I'll put it on the hot seat and see what you guys have to say, knowing I didn't really work on this one that much.
Hey, I mean, I think that's part of the thing about visualization and self-service analytics is it is the iterations that matter, right?
Exactly.
And I think even getting people excited about the data is part of the journey. So like, hey, let's talk about all the coffee data, right?
Yeah.
And literally like this, you can see what Yamil's doing. Now it sparks this whole conversation, right? Whether it's ecology or sustainability, right? It can really change behaviors.
Exactly. So this is one of the visualizations that I have. To be honest, I have too many. Too many today. Ooh, sorry for that. Hold on. So I wanted to do something new. And I told Joe about this. There were so many good visualizations that I thought, what if I show Joe just the titles? And he told me which one grabs his attention real quick. So Joe, I'm going to go really quick. So tell me this one. Hold on. This one. This one. One more. Too many. so far?
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
anything that grabbed your
That
attention?
one that you initially had up had a lot going on, so I'm sure we can spend some more time on that one. But
And that one, okay.
This one's
I can go.
interesting. That declining coffee exports.
That one was cool, right?
Yeah, it has a, I always like those ones where you're like, okay, I see a lot of different visualizations. There's bar charts. We know that that's probably the best way to look at this stuff. But when you get to these unique visualizations and you're like, I want to look at this a little bit more and sit down and try to figure it out.
Yeah. This one was interesting.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what it is, but there's always like the violin charts and these always gather my attention. And what's funny, Yamil, I don't know if you remember this. I was in Gainesville and they have that beautiful color palette for the flavor profile for coffee. Do you remember me taking a picture of that? I'll dig it up and I'll post the picture here on the chat. But literally it looks like this. And I was sitting there and I'm like, wow, I've never seen this before. Where is this from? And it was like from the 70s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, man, this is so interesting. And it just literally had kind of the pairing concept. So
real cool. So this is declining coffee exports from India. So tell me what grabbed your attention, Joe, like really quick.
It's this like somewhat different shape, I think. That's why I was looking at it. I'm like, okay, where do my eyes go to? I don't usually read the paragraphs first. After I look at it, then I try to see, did I find the same insights that they had? So I'm just starting wherever we're describing what's going on, and that is 2020 metric quantity is on the inside band of the rainbow. Then the absolute delta percentage, the increase or decrease. So if it's gray, it went down. If it's green, it happened to go up. So that's actually very clever because I'm not sure I could tell which dot is slightly bigger or slightly smaller. That's really unique. I love that.
Yeah, this piece, right here.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing. I never thought, well, that's a good idea to make the difference increase. So right here, this Benin increase, Libya, right, Mali, and Switzerland right there, and this one just slightly.
UAE just went up slightly, and then the outer band, like how much quantity was exported as well. So you can see the big players like Italy, right, has a huge bubble in that orangey green.
Russia
and Russia right there, yeah,
right there
went down quite a bit. It looks like so that inner dot's telling you how much it decreased. That's
very good.
Yeah,
me too. I think it's interesting. This is data source is Coffee Board of India. That's the data source.
I think that's important, especially when you're dealing with circles, right? Because we have a lack of spatial comprehension from a differential perspective of circles, right? So if you're ever trying to show differential, it's easier to understand with a bar because we're not factoring in pi, right, into our equations.
Yeah. So. And you can tell here, Joe, so look at this, 70K. Let's see. Yeah, close,
pretty
right?
Close, yeah.
Yeah.
They matched it. I was wondering, like, why did they jump 20K each one? That seems like an odd choice, but it probably fits the data really well.
Exactly. So it probably fits the data. And yeah, I agree with you. It's pretty cool. I'm going to show you something that I found it's super cool, Joe. I think you're going to love it. I never thought that you could use the nutrition fact. Yeah, you're going to like this. And actually update. So let me give you an example. So if I select 12, I mean, let's say, let's say 20. Well, 12 is better.
Oh, yeah, I always go for the large one.
This happens all the time. Hold on. So let me tell you what I don't like about the only thing that I think they should improve. So it was, so look at here, you see a change. It actually uses as a table. So, and then you can select the specific one. I don't know if they all work, to be honest, because I tried. Yeah. So it changed. So you can use this. This is pretty cool. As your nutrition factor. So you use that, something that the user already understands or knows, you're using it. So, and then you can select your milk and everything else. The only thing when I was looking at this, Joe, that I was not a little bit not sure why was this green all over it. I mean, this green color was, I wasn't sure. But other than that, it's pretty cool. It's really cool visualization. Makes sense. This is hard
Should just
to
be
read.
brown for coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that it would be the brown.
Right.
I mean, and then this works, because it's only 3 colors here. So it kind of works. But it's awesome because it gives you the calories, this is really cool use of this charts here. I mean, this way you can
Box
see
and whisker.
how lighter, the box and whisker. So no bad. I mean, I really, this got my attention a lot. I was like, man, that actually works. So when I look at it, I started playing with it and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you're relating it to something people have seen all the time and know, and it's not a scary just table of data or a weird visualization. It's like, oh, it's relatable. The greens they're actually, I don't think I like them because they're so close in like their shades. I love how they use the colors in the titles. It's a really good clue into things. But I can't really tell that much of a difference when they went to the macronutrients at the bottom of carbohydrates. The carbs are the deepest green. You just got to kind of read that closely. With only 3, it would be fine to use 3 separate colors, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe that are not red, yellow, and green, but something that's very clearly different.
Well, and they're not even factoring in color blindness here.
Yeah, that's what.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
that's also important, right? That that you make that difference. But other than that, I thought it was really cool. And in this one, I was dragged by this here. This.
Oh my gosh, I love the jitter plots.
Yeah.
Jitter plots. So look how. Sorry for that. It's coming. So the cool thing about this is that if after you start studying this, you were like, I'm never gonna go to Starbucks again. It's too much calories, too much and too much fat. And sorry, please don't do this. So yeah, you can select yours from here. I mean, it's a lot of great information actually, and your size, everything is here. So and this is awesome. The way that they created this. I mean, it's pretty cool. What do you think, Joe? And again, the green. I'm wondering what's the thing with the green.
The green with this one is Starbucks, right?
It makes more sense. It's their brand stuff.
Yeah.
I like this because I don't know if you've Starbucks used to. I'm still sure they have a digital version, but used to be able to go in and get that big brochure of all of their things and like look at the nutrition facts. And I just got bored one day and was looking at it. It's overwhelming. So this kind of packages it up so you can find what you might like. The jitters are interesting. So is each dot a different drink that happens to be? So you see the outliers.
Yeah, here, look at this calories. Please don't drink this one, everyone. Don't order that anymore.
And that's without whip.
Yeah,
it doesn't even have a whip.
There's no room for it. You just fill it up right to the brim.
And this is Frappuccino. Oh my goodness, I love that. Like those. I'm in trouble now.
Wow. Joe, I never thought about that because, like, you always think, oh yeah, they add that extra lid on top for the whip, right? But it actually goes down in the cup a little bit more, right? So if you don't get the whip, they're actually filling it with more of the other stuff, which is probably more.
That's one of those Starbucks
rich,
snacks, right? Like, get your whip on the side and don't get it with ice. Just get a cup of ice later because you'll have 2 cups.
I have a dog, so I know that whole pup cup setup, right? And then you just like do it like a little affogato shot right on top.
I'm pretty sure that Steve Wexler will love this part. He loves jitters. So Steve, you're watching later, or everybody can contact Steve.
So here's an interesting question, which would be kind of cool to see on this too. How many combinations does Starbucks have for their drinks?
Yeah,
it's like a factorial or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, is that why everybody loves it? Because there's something for everyone?
Yeah. So look at this part here. What can I drink based on my dietary preferences? So there's more. This is great. So
Yeah,
calories?
I'm usually going after carbs, and that's been the latest thing. Like, can I cut my sugars? So I will get whipped because whipped cream doesn't have many carbs in it. It's fairly low in calories as well. So some of those heavier drinks might actually be good.
Yeah. So look, it's
And
like
then caffeine
sugars
content.
and caffeine. Yeah. So let's see. So venti brew coffee. That's the one that you need. And no need too much. A lot of caffeine, low sugar.
87,000. Is that like, that's like 4 cups of coffee in one, right? That's what the venti is.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
I remember when I was in high school, I used to get those because that was the cool thing to do. And now I'm like, I know, I don't know if everybody knows this. So when you go from it's from a grande to venti, right? So that just the small to a medium, right? As soon as you do that, they actually increase the espresso. So that's where you end up with 2 shots. That's always what I use mentally. I'm like, how much caffeine do I want right now? Do I just want 1 shot or do I want the 2? And then I kind of use that as my precursor to deciding how big of a drink to get.
Right. And then they kind of got that here too. So depending on what my nutrient or whatever of choice, which one should I go for?
Exactly. Here's the different milk choices. So if you want milk choices and then the size, then you will know the calories, the fat, the proteins, etc. So this gives you really great information. And then you can select, I selected, for example, latte here. You can select whatever you want. And if I want to drink a latte, and depends on for example, soy milk, and that will be the lowest calories and short. So that will give you that information. It's really cool. Really interesting information.
On that ginger stuff, I wasn't sure. If you hover over just one, like the one that has huge calories, is it low in caffeine or something? Like, does it highlight the dot across the rest of them? Or do you have to...
so that outlier there up at the top, Yamil.
Okay.
Yeah, if you click on that one, does it go across the board?
Does it?
Yep.
Shows you where it's at. It's kind of hard to see, but...
And the average, Joe, like 5, 10, 30, 30, 15, 19. So.
Oh, it highlights it for... Okay, so the red line's calling out exactly where it's at in all those
very
dots. That's cool.
It is cool, yeah. Then this one was interesting. And not sure, Andrew, you're going to do this one because you like this one, I think, right?
Yeah, this one was my favorite one.
Yeah,
we can talk about this one.
I'm going to jump to another one. So this one, real quick, I'm going to go show you this one real quick. I thought that this was cool, that I'm pretty sure Joe will like that. So Joe, you think like when you have a coffee, one of those cool coffees that people make those things on top of the coffee, right?
Right.
So look at this. I think that you can select the topic. That was cool. This always happens. Hold on a second. So you can select the topic. So from production to consumption to exports. So you can select that. Let me see if it works now. So I can select the other one. Not sure if it works. Yeah, it works. And exports. Let's see. So you see Brazil is the largest export. Look at that. Wow. All the way. And imports. Let's see who's the imports. Oh.
Yeah, and this is by pounds, right? So it's not about dollars here. Like, is it the best coffee? It's just what's the most distributed coffee.
Correct. So I found that this was pretty cool and clear and easy to, for somebody to want to look at it. And there's more information, great information. Look at some of the icons.
The colors are really good. They matched it to the imagery they have. It's very subtle and like soft colors.
Exactly. And then you can select a year. And then so you can select a year and see what happened between different decades, right? So, and I like the color, right? This is what I thought that the other could have done. I mean, select these colors instead of those greens. But yeah, and look at that. That's for Andrew to take to every lend the luggage, the other thing here. What do you think about this one, Andrew? What do you think?
I like this one. I mean, I like the fact that it's taking into consideration the time periods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as we look at the growth of coffee here, even in the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that really started around the early 2000s, right? And we saw this huge explosion, especially as you look at, Joe, like you were talking about the highlight of Green Mountain, right?
Yeah.
So when that became big, right, and now we've gotten to this, hey, everything's customized. We're talking about all these different types of coffees and things that we love. I feel like that's where, when you look at that curve and who's a top importer, it's Europe. Like they've been doing coffee for hundreds of years, right? So when we kind of talk about this, I remember one of the vizzes that I looked at talked about instant coffee has been around for over 100 years. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. Like to think of that and the progressions that we've made, it's like, okay, well, now we need to start understanding what kind of contributes to that, right? Is it the entire process? And that's some of what we were discussing yesterday during Transform Tuesdays. And what this visualization highlights, right, is what are the changes over time, and then what's changing with the coffee process as a whole, right? So are the beans being grown in different areas? Are there, like, actually my local coffee shop here, they actually have bean roasting classes. So if you grow your own beans at home, they let you come in and roast them there.
You can borrow the roaster. That's great.
You can borrow the roaster, and I'm like, man, that's genius, because how much do they really get to use the roaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you get people excited, then at that point it creates more value, right? Because Joe, if you were like, wow, I grew my own beans and they weren't very delicious, right? But now I understand all the pain that goes into making these, right? I'm willing to pay for them to come from Michigan because these guys with Just Coffee know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm willing to pay extra money for that.
Yeah. One of the things, Joe, that I wanted to show you is just pay attention to this here. And I'm going to move it and you see, so you see what is going to happen. It's very interesting. So you can see that the graph, right, depends on where you're going. Look at that high, incredible spike there in
consumption.
It was like 2015, I think. And look at the exports now. Let's look at the exports. It's kind of the same, right? Like, well, 2012, 2018, but it's kind of like in the last couple of years, right? And then we go to the imports.
That's a great question.
Inspect the data. Like, is there something going on? Is there really that much of a spike? Because I imagine it's not like there's a huge boom in people being born or reaching like whatever coffee drinking age or something.
Yeah.
That I don't know what that
was the BOGO offers for Starbucks that they were doing.
And they never
when you drink one in the morning and then you get a free one in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. I don't even know this. Yeah. What's the shelf life for coffee? So did they have a bunch of coffee on pallets that were backlogged? So when you look at the production, right, you see a couple peak years, and then it's actually down that year that the exports were really high. So were they like, hey guys, these beans are all about to expire, we got to flood the market?
Yeah. So if you, that's a good call, because look at this. In 2015, it went down. Look at that.
Production's down.
Right, the production, but then the imports. Let me see the exports first. The exports. Let's see.
Someone in the middle.
It's almost the same, but the
import. Yeah. So I think here's my call out for this one.
Yeah, look at that.
We don't have a scale reference across all these different graphs. So you don't even know if you're looking at the same scale, right? We're just automatically assuming that because it's in the same spot here. And I think that could be a little
that's
deceiving.
A really good point. Like imports and exports might be comparable, but consumption is something completely different.
Yeah.
That's right. Data World Bank, coffee data, USDA, government. So population data World Bank, and coffee data, USDA, government.
I know, and I'm sure Andrew's seen this too, government data it can change if they're tracking it every year and they just decide, oh, we have a new way we're tracking this stuff. And you're like, where's this peak coming from? Where's this spike? Oh, we changed the way we measure this thing now, and we're going to include this whole population that we never did before.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I like that they put the source, but then it also is like, that could explain why there's a weird spike. There is something
recorded
it incorrectly, perhaps.
That's true. There's
Yeah.
something there.
So you guys ready to take a look at a couple
Show me what you got. Show me what you got. But those are a couple I picked for Joe, specifically for you, because I know you like those ones. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually found the one that what I was kind of hinting at, and this one's actually interactive. So this is the color palette, right? And you can just look up the flavor wheel, right, for coffee, and it literally breaks this down. So like the one that I was talking about that I drink with the Pinon coffee is more in this range. So it's got like a brown sugar kind of molasses honey taste to it, right? Which I like. And I think that's why it pairs so well with the oat milk. Because what do you put in oatmeal, right? You're always thinking, oh yeah, brown sugar, maple syrup kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
So the flavor profile is good, but you can see everything from like cereal, right? You've got papery or musty, and then you've even got like whiskey, right? So just seeing this was really interesting, and understanding, oh wow, like this also kind of helps you understand what your mood is, and maybe from a seasonal perspective, this is what I'm kind of looking for in my coffee, right? So I may be hanging out by the fire and I want more of that brown burnt kind of roast, so it smells like or tastes like that s'mores or something, right, that I'm working with. Or maybe it's that mid-afternoon kind of coffee, right, and it's got more of this fruity essence to it. Or it's in the middle of the summer and I'm hanging out by the pool and I want something a little lighter. What kinds of things should I be looking for in that flavor profile? And what's cool about this is, let's say I were looking for something with like a coconut, right? You can literally look and understand, okay, how would they infuse that? And then it literally tells you, hey, 1 drop of coconut extract, right, under in a medium sniffer, right? So I don't protest to know all the terms with coffee development here, but it was just really interesting to see how they kind of break this down. And then literally you can see, okay, what is the reference here, right? Whenever you're trying to understand what is it that all this means, right? So if you were trying to understand how aggressive is that flavor, you can kind of see that here. And then when we look at something like brown sugar, right? So you can literally see, oh, okay, what is their frame of reference here, and what are they using to kind of understand what that is.
So that's the interactivity on it, right? I feel like I've seen this visualization before. It has a name, but it's never really used the right way. And it's just like, oh, this is a tree map like thing, and you can click on it and explore.
Yeah.
And people get lost immediately.
Yeah.
So the interactivity is like click to learn about what that thing is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's exploratory. And maybe that's why we love these so much, is because it's that moment where I have a 6-month-old now, right? So there's that moment that you see them and they've just got that curious look on their face, and they're like, let me touch that. I want to understand what this does.
Exactly.
And I think that from a self-service analytics perspective, right, that's all what we're gearing ourselves towards is I want to encourage people to play with the data, right? How can I go about doing that? And I think we need to recognize what our initial agenda is for the visual, because there are things within our businesses, right, that matter relative to this, where we want people to explore versus calling out something that's intended to be informational. And I think that kind of ties into my next one, which Yamil kind of called out, right? And this is more informational, where it's got some facts in regards to exports, imports, right? And then you can even see, hey, what does that look like for countries producing, right? So it's holding pretty solid at 82. So in my mind is like, oh man, are we kind of limited on the land that we have for coffee production? Because like, I'll give you an example. Here in Florida, we actually don't have the altitude. It needs like 1,000 feet off the ground or off the water to kind of do that in terms of elevation. So it's not that you can't produce coffee here, but is it really going to be the best coffee, right?
Yeah.
And then
we get to those like farms that are built into skyscrapers, and those things, maybe they can exploit that.
Exactly. Maybe that's the catch, right? Is like we haven't just explored from an agronomy perspective, right? Using those different altitudes, and that's something that's simple that we can get into, and then you'll get me all excited about talking about aquaponics and hydroponics and stuff. But
it's a whole nother show.
Yeah. And I think talking about that, like, this is interesting. So our favorite beans are actually the Arabica beans, right? But what's interesting, if you look at the Robusta one, right, it's, they can grow at lower altitudes, right? And they produce more fruit quickly and have a higher yield per tree. So what's actually interesting is it's like, man, these just aren't as good. So if I were in agriculture, right, I'd be trying to figure out how can I make this bean better, or can I do a hybrid? Because if I can at least get a little bit more flavor out of it, right, and do it in an area that grows faster and has more fruit, right, then instantly I could start being more profitable. And I think that's where you can kind of see
really weird ones too, where it's the animal that eats it, and it lets it go, and I forget what it's called, but I remember
Kopi Luwak. So that's all the way down here at the bottom, the fun facts.
I thought that this could be on the, I don't know, I thought when I saw this, I was like, why did they put that on the top too? Like, I thought that maybe, I understand they want to do some fun facts, but tell everybody about the fun facts. That was great.
Yeah, so I'll zoom in here so everybody can see them a little better. So Kopi Luwak is, I mean, one, it's $600 a pound, but essentially there's these cats in this region that a civet, right, that eats the coffee beans, and then they come back out the other side, and because of the enzymes in the cat's stomach, it actually makes the coffee smoother. So then that's really like the selling point, right? I'm pretty sure the cat's bowels are probably really consistent, so they're all good with having their 1 cup a day, right? And I look at this, and like I even did some mental math on these other ones. So one, you got 250 years for instant coffee, right? So I'm like, wow, that probably was around the time of the Boston Tea Party, right? It's almost around the same time. Maybe they were like, oh, we got to find something as quick as tea, right? Because we're tired of doing cold brew. And then when I look at this, it's also $1,000 a year that we spend on coffee. And I had to do like some quick mental math, and I'm like, yeah, that's actually not unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
Especially now that I've been going, and the cups of coffee, sometimes they're like $6.
Yeah.
$6 for a cup of coffee. So that's really not getting too crazy.
Yeah, and luckily now most of the other people are at home, and like Joe, he can make it at home, right? He can make his coffee at home, right? So that's better.
That became, it was a money situation. Like I just started tracking at one point with like Mint or what was ever on my phone for tracking my spending, and I'm like, whoo, there's a lot of money that's going to the coffee shops.
Exactly.
I better learn how to make my own. And then I got the machine that I'll carry around with me every once in a while.
Exactly.
This part was, I think, cool because it overlaid, hey, who's importing coffee versus producing it, right? So are those even in alignment, especially now that we're talking about working from home and we're becoming a global economy, right? So when I look at this, Joe, with us working from home, right, maybe you're such a coffee savant, you're like, maybe I should be moving to Brazil so I could be closer and hang out with these coffee trees, right? I could go do like a little coffee tour on the weekends or in the evening, or I guess in the mornings, right? You'd have to alter your work hours a little bit. And then was kind of my question, are these two in alignment?
In the European Union. I really like that. Yeah, you can see who's the highest exporter, and then here the European Union on the other side, the importer. So awesome.
So this one was actually really interesting. So Japan, although they make coffee, right, they actually don't export any. So I was like, that's really interesting. Like, what? Then I'm sitting here trying to figure out what's the deal there? What's the story, like behind Japanese coffee, right? And I mean, I think. I'm like, oh man, like they do so many things so well, right? Like with whiskeys and all these things from a refinement perspective. I'm like, maybe that's who needs to work on the Robusta beans, right?
That's
like,
going to be the next big one. Yeah. You figured it out.
Exactly. So, and then I love the use of trees. I mean, in part because I love plants. So you've kind of got some of that visualization here going on.
This one is awesome. Yeah, that one is awesome.
And then
this is overall really good. I mean, you know what I like too? They have those questions. You know, they are using questions instead of simple titles, right? And then you know what you're looking at or what you're supposed to be looking at and what they're trying to show here in this visualization. So
yeah, that's really just outlines a journey, right?
Exactly.
A journey towards you. Hey, if you spend $1,000, Joe, if you're trying to cut your coffee consumption, but you want to do the same spend every year, you could blow it all on 1 pound of Kopi Luwak, right? Like you could have a worse habit. I can't tell whether they're trying to say, hey, you could be spending $6,000 a year on coffee, right? Or if you really want to cut your habit, right? You're going to have that one cup that's so amazing that you're not going to want to try any other cups.
That's what I'm afraid. It could be so life-changing. What if you just get hooked and that's your thing now? You're like, well, it's really
once a month I have a cup of coffee,
tough
right?
to import.
Yeah,
I have to have it. Now, I don't want to be that addicted to it, but it's pretty close.
I think we just need to figure out where these cats are for sale. That's more what I'm focused on.
What is in that icon and the information icon right there on the right? What is probably the source, right?
Where it's from, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's clever. Yeah.
Very nice. Coffee beans from our project.
How has it only been starred 13 times? This seems like.
Yeah, here, I'm gonna give it another one right now.
Oh, yep,
I'll give it another one. Oh man, it's going all in. All right. We'll leave that alone.
This is a great one. I mean, you can see the KPIs on top. For example, Joe, like, you know, all the way to the top, you have your KPIs and it will take you down, you know, great title, tells you what the years, January 20 to August 2020, 2 decades. Apparently it says 2 decade performance. Yeah, exactly. So
a lot of coffee went into making this one, I hope.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure.
It's very nice. I really like this one, Andrew. So pretty much we're at the end of the show, but we're going to raffle. We're going to do the giveaway of coffee. I wanted to ask Marcus, can you tell me a brand from Brazil that you do like? Marcus is in the chat. He's from Brazil. We have a couple of friends here from Brazil. They the highest and the largest exporter of coffee in the world. Pretty impressive. So tell us some of those brands there. So we're doing here the drawing. Let's see. Let's see if we can click on that.
That's right, and this is a big one. It could fit probably like 5 cortados. Maybe one venti could fit in here.
Almost venti. No whip, and it might fit.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's see. Andrew, if you win, you're gonna have to redo it. Oh my god!
That's how it works.
This is man. They're gonna.
You won. You won.
We're gonna get.
Yeah, we got to do another person. I've got my smoothie here. This is the afternoon stuff. Make sure to wash it down.
No way!
Again.
You need to play the lottery or something.
I only did one entry telling everybody to vote on it too.
Come on, that can be. Yeah, Marcus.
There we go. All right, Marcus, you got a mug heading your way.
You got a mug, and
that was fun.
Yeah. Do we have anything else? I mean, I think we can do one more, right? And maybe we can raffle something else. Aaron, I don't know if you're going to do one more time. I have some things here that we can. Hopefully, Andrews doesn't come up again. Let's see. Oh my goodness! This is
all
bad.
Right. Lottery ticket. I'm going to buy one this evening.
Maybe it's the letter A at the beginning or something. Yeah, Cody.
There you go, Cody.
Cody, thank you.
Right.
I just wanted to say thank you to Joe again. Joe, it's great to have you here. Joe, tell us a little bit about the show that you guys have and what at the time that you have the shows. Anybody wants to,
Yeah, we're not as consistent as you guys. So I always have it on my Wednesday to come see 3 at 3. But our team does what we call Appy Hour. And we started off with, we would have these sessions behind the scenes of like, let's fix each other's charts and dashboards. We pulled customers into it. And then we said, that's fun. Maybe we can just record this,
exactly,
put it out there. So we started doing that, and then discovered like people interacting with the audience. So happy hours on Thursdays, and we're sometimes using our software. We're sometimes having chats about data literacy. We tried one, and I was like, it's really close to 3 at 3. Like, pick your favorite chart, and we'll talk about it. So we tried that once or twice, but we haven't figured out your guys' style the right way. So we'll just keep coming here and participating and sending you things.
Awesome.
But we have fun with it, and it's a good way to just not have a webinar. And there's little preparation. That's what I really like.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just have real conversations about data.
Exactly.
Visualizations, best practices. So there's a lot of good overlap, I think, with you guys too. So really appreciate it. We're getting ideas back and forth, I think.
Of course. Yeah. Anytime.
Well, and Joe, what I think the best part is about the conversation is honestly all the comments and stuff on the side, right? So as people have questions and really that participation, it's just a whole nother level of learning, right? And I think that's what's really going to drive everybody forward. I don't even think I showed this, right? It's that extra little touch, right? My little coffee spoon. So literally this is made with coffee wood. And as crazy as it sounds, right? It's part of that ritual that you're doing every week where, hey, I've got my mug and my cup of coffee. Like, this is cool. And this is one of my favorite ones actually from Tableau from ages ago. But literally I'll sit there and like just the stirring of that, right? And knowing that everything's all connected is huge. And that's what I look at with our community, right? Like, hey, this is a visualization community, and we're really fostering that together and creating more people who are data literate.
Yeah,
exactly.
Visually literate.
Yeah, and the cool thing, Joe, is like, I think from the show, and we're here in the 36th episode, it's like how many great people like you we have met through all the show. Like how many great individuals. Yeah, we have. I feel like I have friends everywhere. Like we have friends everywhere. And we can chat and we can share and we can iterate and we can learn from each other. I mean, that's the cool thing, and that's what, we love it every week.
Joe, to announce our new business idea, we're going to start a visualization coffee exchange program. And
I'll be a founding member. That sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, everyone, we got to wrap up here, but Aaron threw in the chat. If you're interested in signing up for future sessions to join us, please feel free to use the Sign Up Genius link. And again, thank you to our sponsors who are Data Meeting, who's helping with amazing swag. And we get to do this every day and we love it. So if you ever have any questions where you need help with your dashboards on any visualization problems or need feedback, we're here to help, and you can DM us directly.
Yeah.
All right. Happy Wednesday,
James.
everybody.
Thank you, James. Yes, we're gonna be on live on the Tableau conference. We're actually invited. Actually, it's actually an incredible thing. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that tomorrow, soon, very soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
James already gave everybody a sneak preview.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, guys. That was fun.
Bye.
Take care.